The shadow of a tree, a painter depicting a scenery on paper. Both of these are examples of projections. Why, you may ask? It's because structures of a certain dimension are being visualized in a completely different dimension. Now, even in linear algebra, there's a concept called the projection matrix, which is an essential step to deriving the regression line. Hi, welcome to part 4 of the series Linear Regression, a Linear Algebra Perspective. Today we'll discuss the mathematical basics of projection vectors. We'll talk about projection matrices in the next video. Also, we'll just go into as much depth as is required for our main aim, which is to derive the regression line. Wanted to start off by discussing the difference between linear independence and projection. This is just to help you intuitively understand these two concepts before we delve further into the projection vector. Now, in the previous video, we had discussed how two-dimensional vectors can be linearly independent even if they are not perpendicular to each other. For example, have a look at these two vectors over here. Let's call them A and B. And let's say the difference of the angle between them is theta, which is not 90 degrees. These two vectors will also be linearly independent of each other as long as they don't lie on the same line, because that would be the only way that they are dependent on each other. However, in high school, you may have learned how if you create a perpendicular line starting from A up to B, the distance between the origin of B up till this perpendicular line is equal to A cos theta, which is the component of A on B. Similarly, you can even get the component of B on A, and that would be B cos theta. And this is the difference between linear independence and projection. Because if you notice, when we talk about projections, we are mainly talking about a component. So, like A cos theta could be a projection of A. However, when we talk about linear independence, we're talking about something very mathematical in nature. This just goes to say that it's not necessary that linearly independent vectors do not have a projection on each other. They can have projections on each other. However, only when linearly independent vectors are perpendicular to each other, they won't have any projection on each other. Now let's move on and talk about the derivation of the projection vector. So, when we talk about a projection on a line, what we mean to say is that let's consider this vector called B, okay? And every vector always has a direction. And what we're trying to do is now is to find the projection of this B on a line that's in the direction of this vector A. The line itself is infinitesimally long and does not have a direction of its own. Therefore, we say that this line goes through this vector that has a direction. Therefore, during the derivation, we only consider this part A, which has a direction and magnitude. But in fact, what we are trying to talk about is the entire line, the projection on the entire line. Now, we assume that B is an m-dimensional vector, and therefore it is a column vector, and its components could be B1, B2, and so on up till Bm. Similarly, even A is an m-dimensional vector, and it too has components A1, A2, and so on up till Am. Let us now talk about how we could intuitively understand this projection of B on the line going through A. So for that, a very basic example is this, that how would a shadow look if there was a light source perpendicularly above B? To show that, let's say there's a light source right up here. In nature too, you may have noticed that whenever light source is directly above an object, a shadow of this kind gets formed. Let me represent this shadow with the color green. Okay. Now what you'll see is that this line is basically the shadow of B, and its length is up to this perpendicular line, which is what we just saw in the previous slide. We had then said that this length of this shadow is equal to B cos theta and is the distance between the origin up till this perpendicular line. Now, about this shadow or projection of B, we could say that it's a fraction or a multiple of this vector A. So it is basically a part of A. Yeah. And let's say that this part, this projection is equal to x cap A. Now, this x cap is a scalar value and it mainly represents the proportion of A that this projection of B is equal to. Now, let's have a look at this perpendicular line and let's call it E, or the error, or the difference between B and its projection vector. So, E is equal to B minus x cap A. You could even use vector addition to understand this because you can always represent it as B plus minus 1 times x cap A, wherein minus 1 could be the scalar. So it's kind of like a linear combination, you could say. Okay, one more thing you'll notice over here is this, that this vector E is perpendicular to x cap A. This means that the dot product, that is E dot A, is equal to 0. Now, dot product is not something I've discussed in this series. However, I am going to put a link to a video that can help you intuitively understand this concept. Now, a little bit about this E, this vector E. If you notice, as we said, it's a linear combination of B and A. Therefore, it is also a column vector, because it's a linear combination of two other column vectors. And we had learned that whenever matrices are added, the shape of the result still stays the same. Now, just logically to make it better, we'll say that A dot E is equal to 0. And another thing over here is this, that when A dot E is equal to 0, you can even say that A transpose E is equal to 0. The results of both of these equations are the same. They work the same way. Now, let's substitute E with B minus x cap A and rewrite this equation. This means that A transpose B minus x cap A is equal to 0. Now, let's expand this further and say that A transpose B minus A transpose x cap A is equal to 0. And because x cap is a scalar value, you can also get it at the start of that term. So we can rewrite it as A transpose B minus x cap A transpose A is equal to 0. Let's rewrite this as A transpose B is equal to x cap A transpose A. What we want to find out from this equation is x cap. And why? Because x cap will tell us the proportion of A that this projection of B is actually equal to. Yeah. We already had the direction, which was the vector A, and all we need now is the magnitude of this shadow. So we were at A transpose B is equal to x cap A transpose A. Before we proceed to the next step, a small thing about these column vectors. So A transpose is in fact a row vector because it's a transpose, and its shape is equal to 1 cross M. Along with this, let's take the vector B, which is a column vector, and its shape is M cross 1. And when you multiply these two, you get a 1 cross 1 vector, which is in fact just a scalar value. Or rather, we'll use it as a scalar value over here. And the same will happen even with A transpose A. Because here too, A transpose is 1 cross M, A is M cross 1, and you will end up getting a 1 cross 1 value. Now, just because A transpose A is a scalar value, you can rewrite this as x cap is equal to A transpose B divided by A transpose A. Now, if A transpose A was not a scalar and it was instead a matrix, then you would have to use A transpose A inverse, which is something we're going to talk about in the next video when we talk about projections on a plane. Now, if you notice the right hand side of this equation, you'll see that the numerator A transpose B is a scalar value, and so is A transpose A, which is the denominator. And hence, when two scalar values are divided together, you get another scalar, which is exactly what we needed for x cap. So now we finally have the proportion, which is x cap. So what's the projection vector then? As I briefly talked about it in between, let's call the projection vector P and let it be equal to x cap A. X cap is the magnitude, A is the direction. So x cap A or P is the projection vector or the shadow of the vector B. And it can be rewritten as A transpose B divided by A transpose A times A. And A is the direction over here, while A transpose B by transpose A is the magnitude. And this over here is not the dot product sign, it's just a times sign. And that's it. We've reached where we wanted to reach. We initially wanted to understand what's this projection of B, what is that vector, and we've found it out. Also, something you'll notice is that as long as you have this vector A and this vector B, it's easy to find out what the projection magnitude would be. In the next video, we'll talk of how this vector B can be projected onto a plane instead of just a line. And after that, we'll be ready to derive the regression line. Okay then, so I hope you have a great week ahead and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.